Today we'll be reviewing the first half of Unit 5 on decimals, going through how to add, subtract, and multiply. This will help you with your Unit 5 review for Quarter 2. When we are adding decimals, we're going to set this up vertically, meaning one of these numbers will be on top of the other. When I'm doing that, I want to make sure that I have the decimal points of each of the numbers lined up. In doing so, this makes sure that I'm adding the same place values together. So when I set up the second number, this 2 is in the ones place, so I want to make sure I'm adding it to the other 2, which is also in the ones place. Give yourself space and make sure you have one number on top of the other. When you're adding and subtracting, you want to fill in your 0 placeholders before you go ahead and add. Then you just need to add top to bottom, starting on the right-hand side. So 0 plus 4, 0 plus 8, 8 plus 0, 2 plus 2, and 5 plus 0. When you're deciding where the decimal goes in your answer, all you need to do is drop this down. I'm going to follow the same process when I set up this subtraction problem. One important thing to remember when you're thinking about decimal and place value, the decimal point always comes after the ones place. So if you see a whole number like we have here in 45, we could say the decimal is right there to the right of the 5. So when I'm setting this problem up, I'll write 45 and then put my decimal point in. So when I go to put the 9 and 53/100ths, again, I want to make sure my place values are lined up. So this 9 is in the ones place, so it's going under the 5 decimal point 53. And likewise, just like when I added, I fill in my 0 placeholders. Okay, when we're subtracting, before I subtract, I need to regroup. Okay, if I'm trying to take 3 away from 0, that wouldn't work out. So I tried to regroup. This is also a 0, so I have to go to the next place value. This 5 becomes 1 less, which is 4, which would allow this to become 10. But I still need to borrow here to regroup to the last digit. So crossing this 10 off, making this 9, and so then I have 10 here now. So 10 take away 3 now would give me 7, 9 take away 5. If I try to take 9 away from 4, I cannot do that. So crossing this off, becoming 3. Putting the 1 in front, this is now 14. 14 take away 9 is 5. And 3 take away 0. Again, because this is subtraction, I'm just dropping my decimal point down. The last thing we've talked about so far in this unit is multiplying. So this is going to be an example of a multiplication word problem. It takes Hannah 4 52/100ths of a minute to make an origami swan. She needs to make 26. How long will that take her? Now I'm looking to calculate a total amount of time, and something that helps me determine when I see or think about the word total is that the first thing I'm given is minutes, and then the other one is origami swans. So I know I can't add those two things together. They're two very different units. One is a time and one is a quantity. So to find the total here, I'm going to multiply. When I set up my multiplication, I'm going to eliminate the decimal from the problem, and I'm going to set it up using the standard algorithm. By getting rid of the decimals, I also get rid of the need to put in any 0 placeholders. So I don't need to add a decimal point and a 0. I don't need to add any decimals or zeros up top. I can just multiply these numbers. When we're multiplying, we start on the right-hand side, and we're going to take the 6 first, and we need to multiply it by the 2, by the 5, and by the 4. So we do 6 times 2, which would give me 12. And just like when we are adding, we need to carry. So I'm only going to be able to put down the 2, and I'm carrying the 1. 6 times 5 is 30, plus the 1 that I carried will give me a 31. Okay, so you multiply first, then add what you carry, like this. So again, I'm putting down the 1, carrying the 3, and so then I'm not done multiplying with the 6 yet, because I also have to do the 6 times the 4. 6 times 4 would give me 24. Then I add in the 3 that I carried, giving me 27. Since I have no numbers to the left of the 4, I can actually put down the 2 and the 7 next to each other. It might be helpful for you to switch your color, especially as we're working online. So I'm going to cross off the 6 because I've multiplied each number up top by it, and now I'm moving on to the 2. Right now this 2 is in the tens place, so when I go to multiply, I'm really multiplying by 20. To indicate that, I put in a 0 placeholder in the ones place first. Then I continue multiplying as I normally would. So starting with 2 times 2, you'll see I'm going to repeat this process that I did in blue with the 6. 2 times 2 is 4. Moving on, I would do 2 times the 5 next, which would give me 10. So I'm putting down the 0, carrying the 1. Okay, this is a good place for me to show again, different colors will help you remember which number you're carrying. And then finally, I do 2 times 4, which is 8, and then I add in that purple one that I carried, which comes to a total of 9. I have now multiplied the 2 by 2, 5, and 4, so I can cross that off. And I have no numbers left to multiply by, so I'm going to combine these two values by adding 2 plus 0, 1 plus 4, 7 plus 0, and 2 plus 9. At the end of a multiplication problem is when we're going to try to determine where does that decimal point fall. Okay, so when I do that, if I look at the original numbers, I'm doing 4 and 52 hundredths times 26, and I count how many numbers I have after each decimal point. So 1, 2, and there are no numbers here after the 6, so there's no decimal values here. So I'm just going to have 2 total, 1, 2. So I can rewrite this as 117 and 52 hundredths. And this is a word problem, so I include my label, which there is minutes.